So to make these gloves, you'll need one pair of scissors, one 8mm crochet hook, one yarn needle or darning needle, one stitch marker. For the yarn, we're going to be using Yarnsmith Zuora in the shade Leopard Print, and you'll need roughly 2 skeins to make 2 fingerless crochet gloves. In this tutorial, I'm not actually going to be showing you how to make the gloves with the usual faux fur yarn, but instead I'm going to use a chenille type yarn, which is a similar weight, because the faux fur yarn can make it difficult to see all the individual stitches you will need to be crocheting into. To begin, you want to start by creating a slip knot on your hook. Once you are happy with your tension, you want to chain 4. Now you want to make a single crochet in the second chain from your hook. When crocheting into the chain, make sure you go through 2 loops. Now make 2 single crochets in each of the remaining 2 chains. When you have reached the end of your chain, chain 1 and turn your work. Now make 3 single crochets, then chain 1 and turn your work again. We are now going to repeat this step until we have 12 rows in total. When you have made your final row, chain 1 and turn your work so that the first and last row are touching each other. We are now going to crochet these rows together in order to create the cuff. You want to begin by inserting your hook into the first loop from row 1 and then again into the back loop from your last row. Now yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook in order to create a slip stitch. Now repeat the same process for the remaining 2 loops on each side. When you have made your final slip stitch, chain 1. Now that you have created the cuff of your glove, we are now going to focus on crocheting in rounds. We are now going to make 12 single crochets around the top of the cuff. When you have made your first single crochet of the round, place a stitch marker in the stitch. This step is super important because when using a faux fur yarn, it can be really difficult to identify where all your stitches are. You can now continue to make the remaining 11 single crochets. When you have made your final single crochet of the round, you want to slip stitch into the first stitch of the round and then chain 1. In the next round, we are going to repeat the same steps and crochet 12 single crochets. When you are making the first stitch of the round, do not crochet into the same stitch where you made the chain 1. We are now going to start working on round 15. So to begin, you want to make 5 single crochets followed by 1 single crochet increase. You want to repeat this again by making 5 single crochets followed by 1 single crochet increase in the last stitch. When you have made your final stitch, slip stitch into the first stitch of the round and chain 1. In round 16, make 14 single crochets, then at the end of the round, slip stitch to the first stitch of the round and chain 1. In round 17, you want to begin by making 6 single crochets followed by 1 increase. Repeat these steps again by making another 6 single crochets followed by 1 increase in the final stitch in the round. When you have made your final stitch, slip stitch to the first stitch of the round and chain 1. In round 18, you want to make 1 single crochet in each of the 16 stitches in the round. When you have made your final stitch, slip stitch into the first stitch of the round and chain 1. In round 19, you want to make 7 single crochets followed by 1 single crochet increase. Repeat these steps again by making 7 single crochets followed by 1 single crochet increase in the final stitch of the round. When you have finished, slip stitch to the first stitch of the round and chain 1. In the next round, we are going to create the thumb hole, so begin by making 1 single crochet in the next stitch. Now we are going to skip 4 stitches, so count 1, 2, 3 and 4, and we're going to crochet into this 5th stitch. Now we have created the gap for the thumb. To finish the round, we are going to make 1 single crochet in each of the next 13 stitches. Then at the end, slip stitch to the first stitch of the round and chain 1. In the next round, you want to make sure you are not making your first stitch in the same stitch that you chained 1, but instead make it in the stitch next to it. When you have made your first stitch, crochet 1 single crochet into each of the next 13 stitches. Then slip stitch to the first stitch of the round and chain 1. Repeat these steps for the next round. In round 23, your final round, make 1 single crochet in each of the 14 stitches in the round, slip stitch to the first stitch of the round and fasten off. Once you have made your final round, you want to repeat this process from the beginning to make your second glove. Don't worry about the diagonal line across, you will not be able to see this with the faux fur yarn. The final thing to do is weave in your ends and cut off any remaining yarn.